Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tales from the Rulelord. Unfortunately, I need to start this episode off on a bit of a somber note. The Paizoverse and the world have lost someone very special. Ashton Sperry, a Paizo freelancer and artist, passed away on June 26th. Most people might know them from their social media, the Game Raccoon, but they also wrote for Knights of Lastwall, the Grand Bazaar, and was involved in one of Paizo's first product lines, the Pathfinder paper mini line, before we had pawns. Obviously, their value as a person extends far beyond what they did for the game of Pathfinder. One of the areas where their loss is being most felt is within the freelancer community. According to many accounts that I've seen on social media, Ashton seemed to go out of their way to help people, especially those who were just starting out. They were a source of encouragement, support, and was a close personal friend to many people. A few people have reached out to me about their experiences with Ashton, and I wanted to convey their thoughts and memories. Cassandra Connor said that Ashton was a kind, delightful, funny person and a skilled artist. I started following them for some Alkenstar art they'd done, and over time we hit it off and became social media pals. We'd quip to each other from time to time and joke around. They became a part of my social media neighborhood, someone I saw around on a near daily basis and was always happy to see. Their art and humor were always a shining point in my day. I already feel their absence and miss them. I don't know what else to say. Things are sadder without them. Joe Davis said, Ashton did some work for me in the past and we chatted often. They were such a kind and friendly person and obviously poured a lot of love into the work they did. Seeing they passed was incredibly jarring and I'll miss them a ton. And Michael Zidlowski wrote, honestly, I feel that anything I write about Ashton won't do them enough justice. They were always witty and creative, and above all, they created space where people felt comfortable talking about TTRPGs. One never felt like they were bothering Ashton with questions, and they were always happy to talk. Ashton's Mythos Diaries for their strange Aeon's character, Asperi Muros, is how I found them, and they inspired me to run the AP myself. They were more than happy to share their experience in the campaign and discuss ways I could make it a memorable experience for my table with me on Paizo's forums. Their presence will be greatly missed, as they were an amazing ambassador for Pathfinder and for TTRPGs in general. I myself did not know Ashton nearly as personally, but we interacted with each other on social media, and I will particularly miss seeing that little raccoon face on my notifications. There are many more accounts out there, but those are stories for those people to tell. If you would like to help, Ashton's family could really use some support. Ashton's partner, Heather, and their teenager could use some time off for bereavement as well as covering the funeral costs. There's a GoFundMe that already reached their first goal and is trying to reach a secondary goal of $7,500. If you have the means and inclination, a GoFundMe is linked in the show notes. This episode is dedicated in their memory, and this story is one that I think is very apt for the occasion. Thank you, Ashton, for everything that you did for anybody whose hearts you touched. And for everyone else, I hope that you'll enjoy this reading of Eiwa's Lesson by Rachel Cruz.
I remember the years of struggle, long stretching seasons where sunlight was sparse, and the hungry night arrived all too quickly. I remember the rites and songs as we laid follower after follower to rest, forced to move ever onward. Parent and child, animals, friends, none were safe as we carved our new path and founded our new lives. Tonight, in the shadow of these great mountains, I share with you a story from another time. In this time, your grandparents were small, squalling babes, some of whom I sang lullabies to. And instead of a sharp seer's mind, I had the strength and skill of a hunter. I was a young man back then, instead of Grandfather Eiwa.
Oh yes, I was a skilled archer. With the silence of a great cat, I stalked prey. With the sharpness of eye to rival of falcons, I watched over our following. With the patience of a mammoth, I knew when to lay still and when to strike with all the strength I had. What I did not know was when to use each. Sometimes a well-meaning action creates more trouble than anything. Take this journey with me and see things as they were. The time of the year was close to the very season we enjoy now, when daylight just begins to stretch further than the darkness, and the snow finally begins to melt. Around our feet, the trails grew slushy and difficult to traverse, but the days began to grow brighter, and with them came hope. These were my favorite times of the year. The crispness of the blue sky was a welcome friend. Have you noticed that the sky never seems so bright, so vivid, as during the melts? Perhaps these days I am more comfortable in the warmer seasons, but I will always love the newness of the daylight, reborn and glorious as it chases the hard winter away. During this time, we were only a few years into establishing the routes we use now every year. Both our herd and our numbers were still small. We'd only recently started recruiting others into our following and teaching them the ways of the Broken Tusk. I was a young man, perhaps only a little older than some of you are now. Still an adult in the eyes of the following, but young enough to be overeager to prove myself. My day's task was to scout ahead. I was to learn which creatures had awakened from slumber, which patches of grass had revealed themselves from underneath the snow, and to ensure the herd's next resting spot would be free of predators and other dangers. I took no partner with me save for Asul, my beloved friend, my air rider. Such a magnificent falcon. He too was eager to explore the way ahead, and so I encouraged him to go. It was exhilarating to be exploring by myself, knowing Asul was not too far away. Stepping carefully along the sprouting grasses and dotted pools of melted snow, I came upon a spot that led me to a shallow riverbed. I was stirred by the beauty and felt a swell of pride. This would be a fantastic resting spot for the herd. In my excitement, I did not pay close enough attention, for by the time I had approached, too late did I see the giant creature already exploring the waters. I froze in place, watching and waiting, hoping the massive bear would be more interested in the potential fishing spot than in me. For now, it seemed oblivious to my presence. I should have let it be and reported back to the others, but a thought crossed my mind. How fantastic would it be, not just to return to the following with news of this beautiful resting site, but to crown that achievement with another, a grizzled bear already brought down to feed our people. I see some of you already shaking your heads at the thought, and you are right to do so. Well, you know by now that you should never hunt bear by yourself. Only I was convinced I was not alone. I could call for Asul, and together we could handle anything. And the longer I thought about it, the more I persuaded myself it was the best choice. Food was in short supply after all, and the great creature could provide much. I crouched low in the muddy bank and began readying my bow. But when I looked up, I was not ready to see the great bear charging me. It had seen me. My presence startled it, and I suddenly understood how alone I really was. In the space of a few seconds, many thoughts ran through my mind. Where is Asul? I cannot outrun the bear. I don't have time to make more than one shot. I should have waited. Ancestors, let me live through this, and I shall not make this same mistake again. The brown bear bounded towards me, then stopped short with a mighty thump of its front paws. It growled at me, teeth clacking. I began backing away from it slowly, hoping this was the only charge the creature would make. It was not. It surged forward again with similar body language, only this time it connected, knocking me back into the mud.
Panic surging, I knew my greatest chance of living right now was to feign death. I rolled instantly to my stomach and cradled my head and neck with my arms. Already, my hip was stinging from where the bear had made contact, but at least my instinct was correct. With a mighty thump that shook the mud, he stomped once more, but not on me. I could not see him, but in my mind's eye, he was only a few scant feet away. Let him be content, I prayed. Let him go away. He was not content. He did not go away. I felt the air leave my lungs as his snout dug under my side, trying to flip me over. Every last bit of me wanted to yelp, to flee. No, do not flee, for you will make him chase you. It took all my strength to keep my stomach to the ground, to keep my arms shielding my head and neck. He must have been as frustrated as I, for the next thing I knew, I felt his snout at my hip again, strong claws burning into my leg. I felt a moment of weightlessness, soon followed by flattening, encompassing pain along the front of my body, and an icy splash of water above my shoulders. I barely had enough time to lift my head and take a breath before continuing to feign death. He tossed me into the water. Through the panic and the loud rush of water over my ears, it took me a moment before I realized two important things. First, despite the pain, I was still alive. And second, my hips were still connected to solid ground. I was not too far underwater. But there was still the bear. I held my breath, feeling another tap, this time at my ankle. Leave me be, I begged, remaining as still as possible, half in the water and my lungs burning with need. Go find something else before playing dead becomes being dead. I felt nothing else. I knew I shouldn't move until the bear was long gone, but my lungs were done recycling my one breath. I had no more. My body ached from claw and earth. Moving was my only chance at life, and yet if I moved while the bear was still near, it was certain death. I waited and waited. I felt no more contact. Must wait. Wait. I need air! I turned my head just enough to take a breath and open one eye and was rewarded. The bear had reared up, swiping at a blur of speed, dark feathers surrounding sharp eyes. Isul had returned. My beloved friend dove at the bear, distracting him, leading him away from me. I sat up gasping and, in frenzied haste, looked around for my bow. There, at the water's edge. I dove for it despite my pain, and saw, more than felt, my hand close around its haft. My hand fumbled to draw an arrow from my quiver, and with horror, I realized only one remained. The others had tumbled out as the bear tossed me around. I had to make my shot count. I whistled sharply, a signal to Isul. My falcon friend responded immediately, as I knew he would. He circled up around the bear's head once, leading the great creature just far enough away. In a moment, he would circle again and expose the bear's chest and shoulder to me. It is very hard to get an exact shot at a bear's heart, especially when it's already aggravated. But Isul was well practiced and we had hunted together many times. This, at least, was a perfect moment in an otherwise messy situation. Isul wheeled, the bear turned. For one frozen moment, our eyes met, the bear and me. And then, with more precision than I'd ever had, I loosed the arrow. The missile flew true, and I was rewarded with the telltale spray of blood. The muscular spasm as the animal decided whether to flee or fight. And then it slumped over. It took me a long moment to work up the nerve to ensure the bear was finished, but finished it was. I sent Isul back to the following with a message, asking for assistance. It wasn't precisely as I'd imagined. The following had to help me as much as help with the bear. And truly, my following, this is the most important lesson I can give from the tale tonight. We are best when we work together. We must learn to ask for and accept help when needed. My intentions were good, but it was a foolish choice that nearly cost me my life and nearly cost the following one of its hunters. We are made weaker with the loss of each life, just as we are made stronger with each new addition to the following. This night, I see you all here with me, listening and learning our ways, honoring each other, and those who came before. I see you gathered, people of all shapes, all sizes. My heart is happy. We are stronger for having you. I celebrate this night, Broken Tusks. And I know you will face bravely whatever challenges come your way.
I hope that you enjoyed this Tales from the Rulelord, read by me, Pete. If you did, make sure to go to Spotify and Apple Podcasts to leave a rating or review. You can support this and other projects by Rise of the Rulelords at ko-fi.com/rulelord2e. For more ways to engage with us, go to rulelord2e.com. And make sure to follow us on Blue Sky at rulelord2e.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/@rulelord2e. Thank you for listening. And until next session, don't let the rules rule you. And now, here's the community use policy. Tales from the Rulelord uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, used under Paizo's community use policy found at paizo.com/community use. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. Tales from the Rulelord is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com.